Well, that was a movie.
Hello and welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon, this is Dan, and we just saw The Green Knight, which is the new horror movie by A24. It's based on the original, King Arthur and the Round Table type knight's story. It's a little bit different, but it's basically the same idea. So, what did you think of it?
My instant reaction was that I need to see it again.
Yeah.
A24 just has this feel to it. Even in their movies that aren't supposed to be thrillers or whatever this is. I mean, this is I don't
know what it is. Yeah.
I don't think it's supposed to be a horror movie. I think it's supposed to kind of be just a suspenseful thriller, which good horror movies just end up being thrillers. I feel like
a lot of the time, yeah. It was definitely edited at times like a horror,
yes,
with the sound effects and stuff. But there was too many lulls in the middle where I'm like, this is a drama.
But there are just these moments in the movie, and A24 does this. I think it's intentional. It has to be intentional at this point because it's almost in all of their movies where they'll just have moments where they just build this tension out of quiet. You're kind of ready to be scared out of your seat.
And
nothing happens.
There's no real major payoff.
Yeah, there's no release of that.
Minor payoffs here and there, but it's like the teasing part, like the first half hour of a horror movie where there's a bunch of this was that kind of the whole time. It felt like.
Yeah.
But going back to what you're saying, where you said you felt you need to see it a second time. I don't know that I want to watch it a second time personally. I didn't dislike it. I did enjoy it, but honestly, I felt like the majority of the time I was entertained but didn't have any idea what was happening.
Yep.
I had no idea what was happening for 90% of the movie. And I'm like, is it supposed to be confusing or am I just stupid?
I think it's, I think it's one of those movies that you're supposed to see more than once, but it doesn't do a good job of making it fun enough to make you want to watch, to go through everything that it puts you through to get to the payoff at the end.
Not that it's poorly made, because it's a beautiful movie.
Mm-hmm. They pull out all the stops on this one too. Yeah. It was a beautiful movie.
It's absolutely beautiful cinematography, shot design, costume design, even the limited CGI was well done.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was so much fun to look at, and despite it being, for lack of a better word, boring, I wasn't bored by it. I still enjoyed the majority of it. But I don't want to see it again because I feel like I experienced it. It's an experience movie, and I don't feel like I would get anything more out of seeing it again.
Are we worried about spoilers with this?
We'll do a spoiler section later. I'll announce it. And then
okay, cool. Then I'll save that for later. But I'm gonna watch this again. I just feel like there are things at the end that make. I didn't know what I was really looking for.
Right.
While watching the movie, I didn't know. Are we following Gerwin or is he the. What is really the turning point or the thing we're supposed to look for progression with?
Right. Is he he's supposed to be having this character arc, right? This development of character, but I never felt that there was a reason to care about him.
Yep.
Also, by the way, you just said his name, how they pronounce it in the movie, which they completely mispronounced.
Yeah, it's Gawain. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
What?
Yeah.
I was so confused. I was like, is this a different character I'm not familiar with? No, okay.
The king was the only one that was just saying it, and I thought maybe that actor just had a weird way of saying
weird accent or
his name.
No, but
then everybody called him that. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're just going to call him this now. I was like, is this not the story that I thought it was going to be?
Yeah. Did you read the story as a kid? I mentioned I did. And they definitely changed things. I'll leave it at that for now. We'll get into spoilers later. But they changed some things. And, I mean, for the written story, a lot of the quests he goes on are left vague. They don't go into detail. So changing those things, sure, why not? But there was critical moments of the story that they changed. And I didn't understand why, other than, I guess, maybe to try to drive the point of the story home better, but I didn't feel like it did.
I don't know, man. I think I feel like this after a lot of A24 movies. I think time is going to do this movie some favors.
Yes.
Because also, if I'm being 100% honest, I've been going to the movies the last few weeks just because we're allowed to go to movies again. I've been seeing movies I typically wouldn't pay money to see.
Right.
So I don't think I'm mentally at a place to watch an A24 movie. It's like we just went from like 0 to 100. Like 3 weeks ago, you're watching Fast 9.
Fast and Furious.
And now I'm here watching an A24 like masterpiece.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to comprehend what's happening in front of me.
Right.
Like there's no Dominic Toretto family isms going on in this movie.
and to use the word masterpiece is completely accurate. Like we have some complaints about it that we've already listed out, but I would still give this a very high rating.
Yeah.
Like I'm between, even just based on first thoughts, I would say like I'm probably around a 7.5. With this.
Yeah, I can get with that.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite A24 movie I've seen or anything like that, but it's not the worst one I've seen either. Like I've definitely seen worse, and even within this genre of the kind of artsier horror movies, if you want to even classify it as that, I've seen movies that are all art and no substance, and there was definitely substance to this. I've just seen it done better before.
Yeah, I think I land around that same area with you at around a 7.5, 8. I'll probably lean more towards an 8 because I'm giving it. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. I feel like a lot of it kind of flew over my head the first time watching it. I don't want to draw the Tenet comparison, but I'm going to because I still haven't seen Tenet. I've seen it. I haven't seen it again.
Second time. Okay.
Sorry, I cut myself off at the wrong time.
Like, what?
I actually feel a lot similar to about this movie as I did about Tenet. I feel like a lot of Tenet just flew over my head. Some of that's my fault, but some of that's also the director's fault.
It's not because it's an extremely complex plot. It was just told in a convoluted way.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. And so it's like you can say that's the way the director wanted to say it, or you can also say he just didn't say it quite right.
Yeah.
This is definitely like the first scene happened, I went, this is a critic's movie.
Yeah.
Like this is gonna have an 85% on Metacritic and probably like a 6.8 IMDb score.
Yep.
Because fans will just not appreciate it the same way critics will.
Yeah.
And I like to call myself a critic, but I still have that fan in me, that like basic moviegoer in me that's going, what did I see? Like I do want to be like, I want to have an elevated idea shown to me. I want to have a new original idea, and this was so original feeling. It didn't feel like anything else as much as it felt like the studio. It as its own thing didn't feel like any other movie exactly, but I still want to be able to grasp what is happening. So I'm a little torn, which is why I can't give it like a 9 or something. Yeah. But I definitely still would give it a positive rating.
Yeah, and I think even in the future, I could, in 2 years, if you ask me, I might give it a 9. After letting it sit, after watching it again, after understanding what I'm even looking for while watching it, it could be that good. It's that good of a movie, and I would never tell somebody to not watch it.
Right.
I would just tell them to what to kind of expect, or like what kind of mindset you want to be in.
Right, because it is an artsy movie. Yeah. It's everything about it. It's kind of in a loose connection kind of way, reminds me of Revenant, where I went into that not realizing just how artsy it was going to be, and I didn't really enjoy it the first time because I was like, well, this is awfully boring for a movie about Leonardo DiCaprio being thrown around by a bear. Like this isn't what I was ready for.
At the end of the day, it's kind of this movie is made, like you said, it's made for critics. Critics will love this.
Or cinephiles, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is. A24 always has that artsy, weird feel. And we even joked about this before the movie. They just have this feel to all their movies, and this definitely is a very A24 movie.
Right. If you are a fan of this studio, you will be a fan of this movie, I bet. If you watch all of these studio movies, then you know what they're going to do without a doubt. You can go into this and be like, yep, that was another one, and it hit the nail on the head as far as that demographic, I'm sure.
Do not watch this movie if you're coming right off of Black Widow.
Or if Fast and Furious is your demographic.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't you.
This isn't the movie.
Which you probably didn't think it was anyway, just based on the trailer. The trailer did a good job of letting you know how.
Oh yeah, it weeds out the people that will be disappointed by this movie.
But see, the trailer, I only saw it in passing, but I was, ecstatic watching the trailer, and this was what I expected from the trailer. So they did a good job with the trailer. They let you know what it was, and it was exactly that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we had to think, spoiler free. We're going to get into spoilers now, so if you don't want anything spoiled, you should click away, but please remember to like, share, and of course subscribe if you're new here. Thanks guys. Bye. So, kind of the biggest difference that they made was the ending, which was also my least favorite part. I did not like the ending. I was cool with
the ending or the montage that was the ending that wasn't the ending.
So both, because the montage being, I guess, a daydream sequence or whatever it was.
It was him. I think it was him imagining what his life would have been.
Yeah, which I appreciate, but I didn't love the execution because it came across as a little bit cheesy to me, which was also the same reason why I didn't like the ending, which was I was cool with him dying. I wanted him to die, but then just the way it was shot with him going like, all right, then off with your head, and then it cuts to like a tree stump because, get it, a tree stump is beheaded, and I'm like, I didn't like that. I liked what they decided to do with the story. I just didn't. That one little part was just to me.
I actually liked that part.
Okay,
I didn't like the. I mean, before we knew that the montage was just a montage of a what if it was a dream.
Right.
I was like, I hope this isn't how it ends.
Yeah, same. I was like, this is bizarre. I feel like having it be a daydream sequence or whatever is such a cop out that I was kind of like a little bummed that they would stoop to that. But I agree that I didn't want that to be the ending, so them to move away from it was fine.
I don't know. I mean, I personally didn't feel like it's a cop-out. It is used a lot, but I think it was executed in a way that I really thought that this was what the movie was going to be.
Yes.
And I'm like, did we just watch all this movie just for this guy to be a coward in the end?
Right.
It was a good payoff at the end to find out that he's not a coward.
Right.
But the problem still stands. We don't understand the meaning of like his character fully. Like why are we? Why
the Green Knight? Where did it come from?
Yeah, where did
wasn't it his mom that set that up?
Yep.
Because his mom's a witch.
Why are we so invested? Is my question. Like what?
Right.
Why am I disappointed that this guy is a coward?
And what was his mom's plan?
Yeah.
Why did she want that to happen at all? It didn't really explain her motive at all because, like, so she sets up this whole thing, at least I'm guessing, because she has this weird seance thing and she writes the letter and then she's speaking and it's coming out of King Arthur's mouth. So it all seems like it's being set up by her unless I'm completely missing the point here. And then the Green Knight comes. Sir Gawain is a moron and cuts off his head and everybody applauds, which really annoyed me, but I guess they're all supposed to be stupid.
Yeah.
She sends him off on the quest, or he sends himself off on the quest.
Yeah.
But she was the one that set these gears into motion, I assume, anticipating that he would react the way he did, unless he reacted completely differently, like she was like, oh, he's going to be smart, and then he wasn't. But we never got that from her. And then she's like meddling with his quest as it happens, like trying to tell him not to go.
The motives are completely, you have no idea what does she think is the smart thing to do? We don't know. Like, we don't know what, is he a coward? Like, we don't know if he's a coward for going one way or another. Like, is he a coward for cutting the Green Knight's head off?
I don't think he was a coward. I think he was
just dumb.
He was dumb.
So it's like you can either be dumb or a coward. Those are his two options in life.
Well, if he had just tapped him on the hand with the sword, that would have been smart. That's what he should have done. Because he said, if you give me a paper cut or run me through, I will return the same to you. And then he said, all right, I understand. And King Arthur went, do you understand? He went, not really, but all right.
Yeah.
And then did it. And I was like, okay, so maybe you should have thought about it more. But that's not a major complaint, because him being dumb is critical to the story, because the whole point of the story is to show the flaw with that mentality of just trying to prove yourself without thinking and just trying to be prideful. That's how I take the purpose of the story, is like, you do stupid stuff and you pay for it, because the message is like, you made your bed, you gotta sleep in it. Like, it's, if you did something, you have to live with the consequences, good or bad. And that's what brings you honor, not receiving honor for doing the good thing. Is actually doing the thing is what's important.
Yeah.
So even though he died, that was the moment he genuinely became a knight, rather than going home, lying, and then being knighted. So I don't dislike that message. It's a good message. It's different than the original story, because the original story, it was all kind of like a ruse set up to just make sure that he'd go through with it.
Yeah.
And then he went through with it, and they went, cool, you went through with it, you're a knight now.
Yeah.
And so that's very different than what happened in this. But I'm fine with him actually dying, because that makes it cooler to me, more interesting to me. I just, like I mentioned, took slight issue with just the portrayal of it, because just the off with your head and then ding, and we're looking at a trunk. I just thought it was a little meh. You know.
I don't know. I wasn't mad at that as much as I was just the confusion of it all.
Yeah, that was the biggest issue. There was just a giant nudist colony. Not sure why.
Yeah, and for all the Attack on Titan fans out there, it looked very much like a live adaptation of Attack on Titan.
And then the whole thing... So one of the actual parts of the story that is fleshed out in the story, like I said, they gloss over a lot of it, but one of the parts that is actually fleshed out in the story is his stay with that dude and his wife. And in this, they actually do change some of that. She's supposed to, like, over a long time... try and seduce him, and then like she gives him one kiss, then two kisses, then three kisses. They just jumped right to sex, I guess.
Yep.
But then I don't know how they had sex. He grabs the belt, and then the belt is covered in like jizz or whatever. It was weird.
Very weird. Very uncomfortable scene. I was watching. I was like, okay.
It's like she's like, "Do you want the belt? I want it. Do you want it? I want it."
Yeah, that was
And then he goes and meets up he doesn't intentionally meet up with the guy. He's leaving and he runs into the guy, and earlier in the movie the guy says, "Whatever you receive here, make sure you give to me." And in the moment I'm thinking, they're gonna have sex, and then he's gonna be like, "Oh, you gotta give it to me." But then she gives him the belt, so I'm going, oh, he's gonna want the belt. But no, he kisses him, which is part of the story, but in the story it's because she kisses him, so then he kisses him without telling him why. So it makes sense. In this, it didn't really make sense because she didn't kiss him. They had sex.
Yeah.
So that was kind of just weird also. I didn't like it.
It was very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable in a very A24 way.
Yes.
They have a very unique way of making you uncomfortable in a movie theater.
Very good at it.
Yes.
Very good at it. So, bizarre, I think, is the best way to describe this movie. But entertaining. Like I said, despite it being slow, despite it being confusing, I never wished I wasn't watching it.
Yeah.
There was times I wished the scene might go a little bit faster, or if maybe somebody would just turn to the camera and give some exposition real quick.
Yeah.
But
a little bit more narration would have done this movie some great...
And less chapter titles every 5 minutes. Like, that was annoying. Like, because it also gave away some stuff, because it was like a meeting with Saint Winifred. So you're like, oh, so that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like a jump scare that he's laying in bed, and then you go, what are you doing in my bed? But I knew it was going to happen now because you said it was going to happen. So, yeah. And then, was the fox his mom? I was very confused because I didn't think it was, but then it sounded like that's what he said it was.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I have no idea. I don't know. I'd say I left this movie knowing about 55% of the total ongoings of this movie.
You're absolutely right in that a second viewing is absolutely necessary to know how good this movie is. But then we go back to how much did it make you want to see it again.
Yeah.
And for me, it didn't move the needle too much. But that could change over time, because it is one of those movies that creates like an idea in your brain that just won't let go. So I know I'll be thinking about this, and I'm sure a couple months from now I'll end up, or when it comes out on DVD, I'll buy it and then I'll watch it again. But I'm not screaming to come back tomorrow and watch it again.
No. It's funny. A24 has a way of staying in your head. Their movies, I feel like I talk more about an A24 movie after watching it than any other production company's movies of the last few years. Like, I remember It Comes at Night. I saw that a few years ago. We were up like literally like all night just talking about what we thought it meant, or like what we thought the message was. It's cool to have movies that make you think and make you actually talk about it,
especially in the creepy genre. Like, it's hard to call this horror, but it's leaning there in some ways.
It's definitely creepy,
and I love that. I love that. I'm scared because when I saw Lighthouse, which I actually saw in the same theater, I walked out, put up the camera, and said, I don't know what to make of it. I both loved and hated it. I need to see it again, and I'll see it again soon, I'm sure. And I have not seen it again because I didn't actually want to. And so I'm afraid that's going to happen with this again, where I'm just going to be like, it's a vague meh. over there somewhere.
I need to see it with people that want to see it for the first time.
Right.
I need to go see it for the second time with people that want to see it for the first time. That's the best way of going about it, I think.
Yeah, and even with me saying it's a meh, I don't really mean that. Like I said, it's a 7.5-ish.
Yeah.
Like, this is without a doubt to me a top 10 movie of the year, unless something drastic happens the second half of the year.
Yeah.
Like, this should be
which could happen.
Yes, but right now it's in my top 5. I really doubt 5 movies are gonna come along that push it out. Like, we've got like 3 more that I genuinely think will be better than this.
Yeah.
Maybe 4. Anyway, we're off topic.
Yeah.
Magic of editing. It is funny because of how much we're saying how, like, oh, I need to see it a second time. It's not a complex story at all.
Not at all.
Like, there's no plot twist. There's nothing.
Yeah.
It's just, I want to see it again because I don't know what was happening.
Well, the plot twist, for me, because I don't know the story, is the ending, was the montage. That was a plot twist for me, but if you know the story, it's...
Well, it's not any more of a plot twist for you than for me because the whole ending was different anyway. Mm-hmm. So him running away, I was like, okay, well, that's different, but then the actual ending was different anyway, so...
Also, the NBA draft was happening while we were watching this movie.
Since they were changing stuff anyway, here's a change that I would have suggested that I think would have made it a lot better. I know that their design of the Green Knight was actually pretty close to how he was described in the story, I think, but would have made it cooler to me and also more understandable is to have him just look like a regular dude, like a regular knight in green. That way you go, all right, I'll cut his head off. The dude walks in as a freaking Ent. It's Groot. Yeah. And you go, oh, I'll just kill him. Like,
you're not sure if, like you might have to like chop him down, like
right, like you're just expecting to behead him and that's gonna work. Like I have to believe that was his thought process, but he is some demon thing, and you're like, yeah, I'll just kill him. Why? Like if it was a dude just in a night and then you cut off his head and a helmet goes rolling away and then he picks up his head, that would be so much better of a payoff.
Yeah,
so much better.
Good point.
I don't dislike his design. I didn't think it was bad, but just think how much more ominous it would be if he seemed unassuming before then. But he walks in on his little demon horse, looking all like all the lights go out immediately. The dude's a demon. Like something's going on, and you're just like, I got this.
This guy wants to get his head chopped off, and you're like, all right,
legit.
A normal adventure is about to happen to me. Like, nothing about this is normal, man.
So I wish that they had changed that. Since we were changing stuff anyway, might as well change that. All right, so that's it. Yeah, like I said all the way at the beginning, this is a critic movie, so if you like those kind of movies, the artsy movies, the more complex movies or whatever, this is for you. If that's not your thing, you won't like it, but it's fascinating to look at, fascinating to think about. I haven't seen anything else by this director, I don't think, but I'll definitely start looking for his name, and yeah, everybody else involved in this movie too, honestly. I thought the acting was great. That's what we thought. We're not going to give a definitive yes or no if you like it, because that's going to be entirely up to you and your tastes, but that's what you think. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
All right, y'all.